The festival and spa town of Bad Hersfeld is the district seat of the Hersfeld-Rotenburg district in northeastern Hesse, Germany, roughly 50 kilometers southeast of Kassel. Bad Hersfeld is known countrywide above all from the Bad Hersfelder Festspiele, which have taken place each year since 1951 at the monastery ruins. These themselves are said to be Europe's biggest Romanesque church ruin. In 1967, the town hosted the 7th Hessentag State Festival. Geography. Location. The town lies in the Hersfeld Basin formed here by the forks of the Fulda and the Horne. The inner town lies on the Fulda's left bank. Furthermore, the Geischbach and the salts empty into the Fulda in the municipal area. In the southwest lie the Vogelsberg Mountains, in the northwest the Nulgerberg, and in the northeast the Seerlingswald. The town's lowest point, at 195 meters above sea level, is to be found in the area where the salts empties into the Fulda, whereas the highest point within town limits is the Lachsberg in the Nulgerberg, at 408 meters above sea level. The town can be said to belong both to northern Hesse and eastern Hesse. The nearest cities are Kassel, 52 kilometers to the north, Gießen, 79 kilometers to the southwest, Fulda, 36 kilometers to the south, and Eisenach, 45 kilometers to the east. Through Bad Hersfeld runs the Deutsche Fachwerkstrasse, a holiday road that showcases many of Germany's timber frame houses and buildings. Geology. The old town stands on an alluvial fan made of gravel and pebbles, which were washed up between Fulda and Geischbach. Also, in the Fulda Valley are found gravel and pebbles from the Holocene that are mostly of alluvial origin. There are layers of flood-deposited loess and loam of Pleistocene origin running through them. The gravel and pebbles are to a great extent made up of Mittelbunter, the most widespread stone here. In the west and east, this layer reaches from the Germanic Triassic on the Stelliskarpie and the Haukarpie up to 400 meters above sea level. In the east, on the Wipperschener Hohe, the layer reaches up to 440 meters above sea level. The Mittelbunter's lower limit is found at about 110 meters above sea level. Newer mineral layers from the Triassic are found only in sporadic deposits and discontinuous layers within town limits. This is the Rot Formation, which crops up in the headwaters of the many small brooks around the town. The lower or middle Muschelkalk that overlies it can only be found in a narrow, west-to-east running rift stretching between Heens and Oberode, north of the inner town. The newest mineral layer from the Triassic, the lower Kuiper, is only preserved in the region under a lava flow, which does not show itself above ground anywhere near the town. Owing to uplift in the Jurassic and Cretaceous, there are no mineral layers from these geological time periods. Volcanic rock from the Miocene can be found on the Haukarpie. Mineral layers that do not reach the surface here of the lower Bunter, running from a depth of some 90 meters underneath the town down to some 390 meters farther down, and following at yet greater depths, Upper and Lower Zechstein from the Permian. For this layer come the two mineral springs in Bad Hersfeld. This layer is also used in underground mining from the 400-meter level on down on the Werra and on the Fulda, yielding potash. Municipal areas extend. Today's main town spreads over the slopes of the Tagerberg, the Frauenberg, the Wenneberg and the Wendeberg, further reaching into the valleys of the Maisbach and the Geischbach. From southwest to northeast it stretches some 4.5 kilometers, and from northeast to southwest some 3.5 kilometers. The old town in the Fulda Valley has an oval shape and an area of some 40 hectares. From west to east it stretches some 960 meters and from south to north some 570 meters. This can still clearly be seen today, as where the town moat once led around the town there is today a ring road that leads traffic around its constituent communities. Besides the main town, also called Bad Hersfeld, the town also has the outlying centers of Ormershausen, Asbach, Beiershausen, Eichhof, Heinz, Hohe-Luft, Johannesburg, Kathis, Kohlhausen, Petersburg and Sorge. Further subdivisions in the main town are not officially statile. The old town itself is divided into the Stiftsbezirk and the Unterstadt to the east. Between the two lies the oldest part of the old town. The spa is centered in a spot west of the Stiftsbezirk and is considered part of the main town. Furthermore, there are Kalkobes, Wernerberg, Zellersgrund, Oberode, Hofhalgens and Munches. Neighboring communities, clockwise from the north, these are Ludwigshafen, Friedewald, Schenklengsfeld, Hornack, Niederauer, Kirchheim and Neuenstein. Climate. The town's sheltered location in the Fulda Valley with the surrounding Hessian and Thuringian low mountain ranges leads to a relatively high average yearly temperature in Bad Hersfeld of 8.7 degrees Celsius and a rather dry climate with yearly precipitation averaging only 718.1 millimeters. The average yearly sunshine, therefore, is quite hard, 1,385.4 hours. On average over the year, Bad Hersfeld has 34 summer days, 86 frost days, and 22 ice days. History. Bad Hersfeld's written history begins with the monks Sturm, who were established a monastic settlement in Hersfeld but later evacuated it to Fulda, and with Lullus, who re-established the Benedictine Hersfeld Abbey in 769. Both had been missionary Bishop Boniface's disciples. The monastery was enlarged between 831 and 850, and Lullus's remains were moved in 852 to another grave in the new basilica. During this ceremony his canonization was announced by Rabanus Maurus. Since 852, the Lullusfest, the oldest folk festival in Germany, has been celebrated in the week of St. Lullus's Day, the 16th of October. Martin Luther visited the monastery on his way back from the Diet of Worms in 1521 and held a sermon in the Abbey Church on the 1st of May. About 2 years later, the town and the territory of the abbey was mostly Protestant. It has been shown, however, through archaeological digs that today's town site has a considerably longer settlement history, with traces of habitation going back to the New Stone Age about 2000 BC. A Bronze Age grave from about 1200 BC has also been unearthed, as have finds from Latin times about 400 BC. Hersfeld was first mentioned as a market centre in 1142 and as a town in 1170. At this time also came the Hersfeld Abbey's greatest importance in imperial politics. In the centuries that followed, the abbey's might ebbed as after the Great Interregnum it could no longer enjoy the Holy Roman Emperor's support. Beginning in 1373, the Landgraviate of Hesse acquired influence over the town through defensive alliances. On Vitalisnacht 1378, the power struggle between the abbey and the town reached its high point. Because of the German Peasants' War in 1525, great parts of the town and the abbey passed to Hesse. In 1606, the last abbot died, and in the Peace of Westphalia in 1648, the imperial abbey, raised to electorate, was awarded to the Landgraviate of Hesse-Kassel. Hersfeld, now a worldly electorate, henceforth belonged to Hesse-Kassel. In 1439, great parts of the town were destroyed by fire. The oldest timber frame house in town is the Custer House from 1452. Abbot Ludwig V brought the town its last building boom for centuries, in which he had the abbey's buildings expanded and converted in the Weser Renaissance style. These can still be seen throughout the old town, for instance the former Mint and the Schloss Eichhorn. During the 7 Years' War, the French army used the former abbey church as a supply and food depot. In 1761, the French burnt the church and the monastery buildings down to destroy the supplies during the retreat, thus destroying one of the largest churches in Germany. And in 1807, the town was almost utterly destroyed by Napoleonic occupation troops, but was spared when it turned out that Baden Lieutenant Colonel Johann Baptist Link von Lingenfeld would only carry out Napoleon's orders. Literally, he was supposed to set fire to the town on all 4 sides, and this he did by having 4 buildings, each standing away from others, set on fire. During the American Revolution, King George III of England hired the Musketeer Regiment Prince Karl along with other regiments from Frederick II, Landgrave of Hesse. The Musketeer Regiment Prince Karl was stationed both before and after the return from America at Hersfeld. In 1821, Hersfeld became the seat of Hersfeld district in the electorate of Hesse. In the same century, Hersfeld was linked to the railway network in 1866, and the town has also had an autobahn link since 1938 was tapped in 1904. In 1935, the barracks was built in the outskirts of Hersfeld by the Wehrmacht. In 1945, Hersfeld was once again spared utter destruction, when 2 officers who had been taken prisoner guaranteed the town's peaceful handover. The United States Army took over the Wehrmacht's barracks. Between 1948 and 1993 it was the McFeeters Barracks. Here served the 3rd Squadron, 14th Armored Cavalry Regiment and 11th Armored Cavalry Regiment at the inner German border. About 800 American soldiers manned the barracks and its 3 observation posts, designated Op Romeo, Op India and Op Oscar. They also conducted 2 patrols daily along the border trace. The Americans had no interest in civilians crossing the border. Theirs was a tactical mission to halt possible Warsaw Pact aggression. Bad Hersfeld lies in the Fulda Gap, a historical avenue used for armies of the past. Bad Hersfeld was the northernmost American border garrison and the first line of defense during the days of the Cold War. While small in numbers, the U.S. forces were heavily equipped with a nuclear capability. They were primarily equipped with armored personnel carriers, artillery, and main battle tanks. They were augmented with combat engineers and an anti-aircraft missile site. However, they patrolled the Russian-American demarcation line in pairs of jeeps to avoid damage to the roads. Beginning in 1949, the town was called Bad Hersfeld, and as of 1963 it became a Hessian States Park, which was municipalized in 2006. In May 1983, 5,000 people in the town demonstrated against a reunion of soldiers from the Waffen-SS. Among the protest organizers were also the organizers of the Bad Hersfelder Festspiele. Religion. The area of the town of Bad Hersfeld today belongs to the Evangelische Kirche von Hessen-Waldeck and the largely coextensive Catholic bishopric of Fulda. Besides the 2 big churches, various communities and free churches can be found in Bad Hersfeld, among them the State Church Community, the Evangelical Free Church Community, the Seventh-day Adventists and the Free Christian Community. Further religious communities in Bad Hersfeld are the New Apostolic Church and the Jehovah's Witnesses. Amalgamations in 1918, Kalkobs was amalgamated, and in 1928 so was the area that later became the outlying centre of Johannesburg. In 1972, the centres named above under constituent communities were amalgamated. Moreover, the districts of Hersfeld and Rotenburg were merged into one new district, Hersfeld-Rotenburg, and Bad Hersfeld became its seat. population development in 1525. 400 men lived in the town, and presumably this meant only householders, men with townsmen's rights. Before the 30 Years' War in 1614, there were 725 households, putting the town's population at this time somewhere between 3,300 and 3,600. The town only reached this figure once again in the mid-18th century. The leftmost chart below shows the sharp drop in the town's population due to the 30 Years' War. After the 30 Years' War, the population figure rose only slowly, falling back in the wake of many wars, disease outbreaks and famines, only beginning in the mid-19th century. As the town was spreading outside to old town walls and as the textile and machine building industries were growing, did the population figure rise sharply. Between 1910 and 1913, it surpassed 10,000, and after the Second World War, sometime between 1946 and 1950, it reached the 20,000 mark. After 11 villages were amalgamated in 1972, the population reached some 27,000, and sometime between 1987 and 1994, the town's population reached 30,000. Given the population structure and the forecast migration to urban agglomerations, the Hessen Agenter GmbH foresees that the district's population will shrink by 6% by 2020. This fall is therefore also foreseen within the same time frame for the town. Politics. Town Council. The municipal election held on the 26th of March 2006 yielded the following results. The SPD and the FWG form one faction in the current election period. The executive is made up of 7 councillors and the mayor. 3 seats are allotted to the SPD, 2 to the CDU and 1 each to the FDP and FWG. Mayor Hartmut Henning-Boehmer was re-elected mayor for the 4th time on the 2nd of December 2007 with 50.8% of the vote. He quit on August 31, 2010. He was followed by Mr. Seitz. Since the 1st of January 2011, Thomas Failing, candidate of FDP, is the mayor of Bad Hersfeld. Coat of arms. The town's arms might be described thus: Party the pale azure, the line of Hesse, sinister armed or and royally crowned, argent, a cross of Lorraine pate aiguilles, the bottom arm fleury. The arms used today have been borne since 1559. The double-crossed stems from the Benedictine Abbey of Hersfeld. The line of Hesse appeared in the town's arms after the conquest in the Peasants' War from Philip I, Landgrave of Hesse in 1525. Older coats of arms. The oldest known town seal, from 1256, shows the patron St. Wigbert. The smaller seal from the 14th century shows the patrons Simon the Zealot and Jude the Apostle of the Benedictine Abbey of Hersfeld with the wheel of Mainz and the double cross. In the late Gothic town seal, this cross was the only charge. At Philip I's conquest, it was displaced by the line of Hesse. A stylized double cross also appears in the Bad Hersfeld town logo designed in 2008. It is supposed to be used for marketing and the Internet. Town partnerships. Les Roses, Val-de-Marne, France since 1994. Bad Salzungen, Thuringia since 1990. Sumperk, Olomouc region, Czech Republic since 1979. Sponsorships. Already by 1954, the town had undertaken a sponsorship for Sudeten Germans driven out of Sumperk, formerly Marischenburg, in Moravia. A sponsorship with the German Navy fast attack craft S-75 Zobel has existed since 1969. culture and sightseeing. The town has since 1962 yearly awarded the Hersfeld Prize to actors of the current festival season. Another honor awarded by the town is the Uhlenroder crucifix, a cast taken of a bronze crucifix from the early 11th century that was found in the abandoned village of Uhlenrode, which lay above Meckbach in what is now the community of Ludwigsburg. Theatre. Every summer, the Bad Hersfelder Festspiele are held. Outside the festival season, theatrical productions are given in the Stadthalle, an event venue. Museums. The Bad Hersfeld Town Museum is housed in the only wing of the former monastery complex that is still preserved, south of the monastery ruins themselves. Besides the departments for town and monastery history, the department for town handicrafts is also worthy of mention. In Konrad Duden's memory is a small museum right next door to the former old monastery school. Here Duden was active from 1876 to 1905 as principal, which is why the school now bears his name. The house Marisch Schönberg shows a local history collection from the formerly German district of Landkreis Marisch Schönberg in what was the Sudetonland. Since 2006 there has been a small savings bank museum at the main branch of the Sparkasse-Bad Hersfeld-Rotenburg in which is displayed the history of the financial institution and the changes in the banking world in a great number of exhibits. Buildings in the old town are 216 buildings under monumental protection. On the west side of the old town are found the monastery ruins. They are Europe's biggest ecclesiastical ruin and are now used as a venue for the Bad Hersfelder Festspiele. In the monastery zone stands the Katharineturm, in which hangs the Lullersglock, Germany's oldest dated bell. Furthermore, a wing of the cloister has been preserved and likewise great parts of the remnants of the town wall. The two Nordschulte in the Leonhard Müller complex are leftovers of the town moat. In this park is also found St. Vitalise's cross. It stands on the spot where the townsmen fought off the attack by the Sturnerbund in 1378. Further remnants of the town fortifications stand in the lower town, among them the Klausturm and the somewhat smaller Pulverturm. Furthermore, on Johannister is found the Elizabeth Hospital, endowed in 1239, with a Gothic chapel. Other abbey buildings of the Schloss Eichhof and the ruins, the Bruderhaus of the former Johannesburg Provost's house. Both buildings lie some 3 kilometers from the old town and can also be reached on foot from the Spa Park. In the center of Bad Hersfeld's old town stands the Gothic Stadtkirche, whose 14th-century tower is the town's landmark. On the church square stands a continuous row of timber frame buildings, among them the former Custerhaus, which is the town's oldest timber frame house built in 1452. Right next to this stands the town hall, which was built about 1371 in the Gothic style and remodeled and expanded between 1607 and 1612 in the Weser Renaissance style. Further timber frame houses are to be found throughout the pedestrian precinct. Particularly worthy of mention here is the richly decorated Zimmermann's house on Klausstrasse. On Linkplatz, the Abbey's old court square, a statue recalls Baden Lieutenant Colonel Johann Baptist Link von Lingenfeld, who saved the town from being burnt down by Napoleonic troops in 1807. Beside this lies the marketplace on which patrician houses from Gothic times stand, among them the Old Mint. They were remodeled in the Renaissance and bear witness, with their gables like the timber frame houses across the street, to the monastery's last building boom. On the Neumarkt stands, besides the other timber frame houses, the Linklaws. Here, too, are the old monastery school and the Konrad Duden Museum. Parks. The biggest park in town is the Kurpark, or Spa Park, with the Kurhaus, the Pump Room and the Spring Pavilion. Right near the old town is found the Leonhardtmuller village along the town wall, with the two Nordschultisch. In the monastery zone is another park, which in 2006 was expanded with a perennial plant garden. Both the Spa Park and the Leonhardtmuller village were remodeled between 2006 and 2007. Further green spaces of the 15-hectare Felder Park with its Feldassee and the Karl Strauss village on the Kleinshöhe on the Tageberg. Sport. Besides the football clubs in many centres, there is the SV-Bad Hersfeld club, which with its first team is playing in the Fußball-Verbandsliga Hessen Nord in the 2008-2009 season. The second team plays in the Bezirksliga Fulda Nord, and the A-juniors belong, for the third year now, to the high-end Oberliga Hesslen. Further ball sports are played at the Turnverein Hersfeld 1848 e.V. Among others, there are team handball, volleyball and basketball. The team of the SG Hessen Hersfeld played from the 1997-1998 season until the 2002-2003 season in the Women's Handball Bundesliga. The three rowing and canoe clubs, Hersfelder Canoe Club 1924 e.V., Canoe Wanderer Hersfeld 1986 e.V., and Hersfelder Rudeveer in 1977 e.V., carry out their activity in the summer, mainly on the Fulda. The last-named club also engages in competitive rowing. Besides the shooting clubs in almost every outlying centre, there is also the Hersfelder Schützengilde 1252 e.V. It is one of Germany's oldest still active clubs. The Luftsportverein Bad Hersfeld e.V. has its glider facility on the Langenberg near Hartenbach. Regular events nationally known of the yearly Bad Hersfelder Festspiele opera festival and the festival concerts. They are held between June and August in the monastery ruins. Other great musical events for every taste is the Bad Hersfeld Bach Days event, the live jazz festival, the Statugentennacht and the Metalfest. The Lullersfest is known for being Germany's oldest folk festival. It is held every year in the week in which the 16th of October falls. Other greater folk festivals are the Shooting Festival of the Marksmen's Guild in the Jägersgraben and the Tagebergfest of the Volunteer Fire Brigade. Among sporting events that can be named are the Sauer Lullerslauf, a marathon run on the occasion of the Lullersfest, and the International Bad Hersfelder DMV Grasbahnrennen held each summer by the Motorsport Club Bad Hersfeld e.V. on a 500 meters long track. Most markets in town are held on Linkplatz. The weekly market is held twice a week and a flea market takes place from April to October on the first Saturday of each month. Other yearly markets are the Easter market on Wednesday before Good Friday, the Whitsun market on Wednesday before Whitsunday, the Gross Lullerskrammarkt on Wednesday during Lullersfest, and the Autumn market on Penance Day, the Wednesday before the 23rd of November.